Yes, welcome everyone. Welcome to Sunday. This is the All Things Fantasy Grounds Talk Show. Show number 254, the show that is meant to teach and help, but you got to remember as you're watching this that the opinions stated by those of us on the show are not that of Smiteworks, USA LLC, or DM's Guild, or The Forge, or the Fantasy Grounds, or anybody but us. We do have special guests today. Going to get to them in a second. Because today's show, we're going to go over the Shadow of the Demon Lord rule set and give a copy away as a prize, as sponsored by Fantasy Grounds Academy. And we're also going to wrap up FGA's Founders Day weekend. So let me say hello to some of my co-hosts. Drake Takes, how are you, sir?
Doing pretty good. It's a little crowded in your little booth here. All these people. What's going on,
we're all
everybody?
in the booth. Yeah. All right. Robin, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm really tired. That's not new. How
That's
are
not
you?
new. You don't ever sleep, Robin. You don't take naps.
Yeah,
You
I
can't.
know. And then I had a surprise baby today and just
Now,
tired.
That's
No,
without
no, no, no.
without context saying having a surprise baby. It's like, oh, you didn't know you were pregnant for 9 months? No, not your baby.
Yes, I
Okay,
was babysitting my nephew. Four
that's
months
right.
old. Cute, but baby.
And
So
I'm well. By the way, thank you for asking. Fairy Fate, how are you?
I'm good. I might sneak away for snacks, but that's it.
Uh,
But
if
I'm
I
you
here.
mean,
sneak,
I
if
stand a
if you,
snack sneaker.
that sounds like a great name for a band, Snack Sneaker. Um, and we have with us today, founder of Fantasy Grounds Academy, Mr. Leroon. How are you, sir?
I am doing pretty good, just hanging out, getting kind of winding down from the Founders Day weekend events, and hopefully looking forward to the Shadow of the Demon Lord as presented by Gwydion.
Yes, we are gonna have talks about all of that. And last and certainly not least, Mr. Gwydion, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Glad to be here. It's been a while, so thanks for inviting me on to talk a little demon.
Yeah, excellent. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome all those watching the show live on Twitch, and welcome to you viewers on YouTube after the fact. By the way, if you are watching this on YouTube, come and join us on Sundays if you can live, because that's where you win the prizes. Can't win the prize on YouTube. Anyways, yeah. Anyway, Robin, I just said it with an S. Anyways, I said it. Yeah, I said it.
I'm rubbing off on you.
You are rubbing off on me.
There you go. Start saying hella. That's
Hella.
hella cool.
I've said hella before. I don't use it that often, but I do use it sometimes. All right. Here's the
My
thing.
work is complete.
Yeah, that's right. You've done your job. We are going to ask Leroon to give us the lowdown. I hope everyone had a good Founders Day weekend with a lot of games happening and a lot of classes and a lot of events that took place. So, Leroon, spill your guts, man. Tell us how it went.
This year actually was a little bit more tame than before. We didn't have quite as many events, although the participation was a lot higher and it was a lot more focused. I think a lot of it has to do with post-COVID, the OGL debacle, and of course all the changes that are going on in the industry. So I think that kind of influences a little bit. And then it's kind of sandwiched between two major conventions. I don't know what that has to do with it, but there are people that participate in those, so that sometimes can interfere with the event. And we've had to move the event because of San Diego Comic-Con or Gen Con or whatever. So I specifically planned it in between there, but there could be some people out there that were actually involved with those events. So who knows? But I'm happy that we were able to celebrate it again. I'm grateful for the people who participated and for the people that joined the events, and also a big shout out to Greg for setting it all up and kind of fixing it and keeping it going on Warhorn, and also on all the GMs that ran games. I think we had about 8 or 9 games this weekend. Traditionally, we'd have about 30, so that's the difference between events. But it is what it is. I'm not going to complain. I'm pretty happy. It was pretty mellow, actually. We didn't have as many events this time, but that's fine because I was, kind of doing all those, and I was hoping that, that I'd have time to attend each one of those events, because I've had situations where I've had like 3 different events at once. I could only be at one at a time. I was able to engage with the guests that we had invited, and we had kind of an array of things. So last week we kicked off on Fantasy Grounds Fridays with Smiteworks and with Bryce, and Belle actually helped arrange that. Thanks to her. Shout out to Smiteworks for continued support. And then Friday morning, U.S. times or afternoon, it was we did a kind of a workshop / presentation with an AI application art room, which is
Oh,
essentially, yeah, it was pretty
interesting.
cool. Like we did that, and even though it's not really fantasy grounds, it still kind of ties into the hobby. A lot of it we were kind of more directed towards creating content for your personal games, like for like homebrew and for stuff that
Yeah.
you're going to run on fantasy grounds. So that was the kind of the gist of it. But we went into like the updates for that particular application. Also, that mentioned that Zovia actually created one of the best learning language data sets for training the AI so that you can get some really good outcomes. So Zovia, the map maker, actually does the training data sets. She has her own, and you can load that in Artroom and kind of use that as your guidance for creating fantasy content. Some of the things that were really hard to create are like centaurs and beholders and snakes and anything with that are kind of phallic
Hand.
symbols. They
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, hands and eyes have gotten better, but anything like a sword or anything like that are really difficult to achieve still, even with all the changes and updates and new versions. So that was a lot of fun. Um, had some interesting input, and we had about maybe half a dozen people show up, but we had people online watching it, and it's getting a better reception now that it's posted on YouTube. So all these things I'm talking about, the events anyways, not the games, are posted on our YouTube channel. So if you guys want to check those out later, you can do so. And on
Yeah,
top of
cool.
that, we see our next event that we had the Arkenforge guys on. They're from Australia. They were on later in the evening, probably like around 9, around this time. We had a little bit of technical difficulty, like the guest, Nathan, the guy that is the co-owner. He had a little bit of problem with his mic and some technical difficulties, but we got through a majority of it. And then for some reason, here I'm worried about his setup, and mine crashed on me. I actually lost the feed.
Oh man.
Our internet went down for like 2 minutes, and it was already pretty much done anyway, so we just called it. But I think what we're going to do is I'm going to get with him privately, film another video, and actually edit and produce it and make it a lot nicer, because the mic issue that he had, and then compound that with the dropout and the internet really sucked. So we do have that video up. We went over most of the content, but I think we could have probably had a better experience with that. So we'll redo that at some time potentially, especially if he comes out with any new features and such. But the main gist of that was that he was showcasing the fact that they had just developed an export feature which supports Fantasy Grounds and the line of sight. But at the same time, Fantasy Grounds released the ability to import a file format, which is the universal virtual tabletop format. So it kind of, I wouldn't say it defeated what he did, but it kind of stole the thunder from that feature. Although when we actually discussed it and we imported maps, we found that their Fantasy Ground support was a lot more compatible than a universal virtual tabletop, because of the way the occluders work. So if you're going to import maps from Arkenforge, you want to use their new Fantasy Grounds output, which outputs the VTT map and the definitions through an XML like we're accustomed to. But if you import with a universal virtual tabletop, you don't have 2 files to worry about. But the occluders and the maps don't quite convert over too well. So I'm glad that they actually did develop and it's a lot more compatible. And I also asked them about doing like animated stuff because that's kind of a newer thing for our community. A lot of people were kind of excited about that. And he said, well, we don't actually have a WebM feature, but we will in the future. But for the time being, we have the export feature for MP4, which is compatible if you convert it to a WebM codec 8. And he said that, that's native to their platform. So you could technically export it as a kind of a movie file. But one thing you got to remember with move or MOV files or MP4s is that they do have an audio channel. So when you convert those, you need to make sure the audio channel is disabled, or it's not going to load in Fantasy Grounds. That's one of the things that happens when you do conversions. And of course, tokens, you got to make sure the alpha channel is selected if you have transparency. So those are some of the nuances that we looked at. And he actually did like a kind of a brief sci-fi map, which was cool because there's way too many Dungeons and Dragons or fantasy maps. So we did a kind of a rough spaceship, and it had a moving space background, and
cool.
We had like propulsion coming out of the engine, and then we had some like moving gun turrets and stuff. So it was a lot of fun.
And you said that video's uploaded to YouTube, yeah?
Yes, okay. It is. Yeah, it's kind of broken, but if you can stand the noise and the background noise and stuff, it's actually pretty interesting. I did tell him that after the show we'll do something more proper, and I'll edit it, and we'll actually make it a little bit nicer looking, more polished. But it's just a stream, and we're not. This is free. We're not getting paid or anything. But he did set me up pretty nicely with a affiliate.
Wait,
so
what?
if anyone wants,
my check's not going to clear? What are you talking about?
So anyhow, the gist of it is that we wanted to illustrate how that you can use that tool as another source or another resource for creating and generating maps outside of Fantasy Grounds. But now that Fantasy Grounds actually supports exporting files and stuff and importing and such, I don't know how valid it is to use these other apps, but they do have a little bit better UX. Some people don't like the way the program feels, so they all have their, everyone has their special map making software. So if you don't use Fantasy Grounds, and they're using, all the other different third-party map maker tools. One of the issues, though,
the old dollar, the map making dollar. You make maps and I'll buy them. How's that?
Oh, I hear you.
Dungeon Alchemist is, pretty
cool.
convenient.
Yeah. I have Arkenforge here.
Of different
but yes,
blends.
I use the almighty dollar as well.
I have Arkenforge up on the screen just because
here we go.
But I've never used it. I mean, I've checked it out. I've done a couple things.
I've seen this type of map, so.
But I wanted to get Nate's name. His name is Nathan Beatty. He's the founder. That's who Laver's talking about.
Yeah, he's the co-owner. And then I met his social media marketing guy. So I told him I'd help them work on something to get the word out for them as kind of like a not really a payback, but kind of like you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Right,
they set me up with an affiliate link, and they gave me they gifted me like 3 or 4 map packs, and it was pretty nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it was nice of them. And then they were pretty like down to earth. They didn't seem super corporate, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
And the quality of the maps kind of depends on the textures and the map packs that you have. So the one that he showed, it looked kind of like the older what was that map making software that we used to all use, like Dungeon Painter Pro or something like that. It kind of had that feeling. EC3? The one that was on Steam. Or it was on Steam, actually. It was like Dungeon Painter Pro or whatever.
Dungeon Painter, yeah.
Yeah, that was like, it kind of has that kind of quality to it, but more functionality and a lot more, official rules or, official content for it, DLC. I noticed that Tom Cardos and a couple other recognizable, I think Map Hammer and some other people that I recognize also have assets through them. And I think they're reworking that so that they can have more third-party assets put into their platform, but I'm not sure. We didn't have time to go into that part of it, but one of the things I noticed just off the top when I first approached them was the pricing was pretty fair, and it didn't feel like I was being gouged. And like I said, it's not a big corporate thing, so I
Yeah.
kind of like that about their platform
Those guys
and their team.
those guys are British, yeah.
They're from Australia,
Oh,
actually.
or Australia, same thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not the
Oceania.
same.
Well, sort of.
That's one of my bits. I say the same when two things
In
are
some
wild.
ways.
Right. When the two things are wildly not the same, I always go, it's the same thing. Yeah, well, good. So Arkenforge, man.
Yep. And then Saturday we did a thing with Evo Livolution, who is a community creator, and he's a big Starfinder Paizo fan. And we don't have a ton of stuff outside of D&D 5e, so I was really happy to have someone that wants to show something that a lot of people need or want, but it's kind of outside the periphery of all the tutorials and the content that we have for D&D 5e. So we did a Starfinder event. It turned out really well.
Whoa.
I think that Evo did a good job presenting the content that he wanted to show. I told him to promote his Forge content, because he's got Fantasy Grounds Forge content. It's all free pretty much, and it's for Starfinder. He's got like pre-gens and some coding effects and all kinds of stuff that kind of helps new GMs with that platform. So he was able to illustrate that, and then he showed us some of the content that he uses from the Forge, like different extensions and different programs and apps that are compatible with more than just D&D. And then he showed us like some assets, and then we talked about at the end we talked a little bit about character creation and spaceship combat. And it was kind of funny because ironically we spoke before the show, and I said, someone's going to bring up space combat, because that always comes up in almost every single sci-fi VTT that I've been exposed to since I started Fantasy Grounds. So a lot of people were asking about that for Traveler and for Starfinder and other rule sets that feature space travel and combat. Even the what is that, Spelljammer, same thing. You had people like, how do I do the space combat? So that's always a thing. So if you're a content creator, do some damn space combat, because everybody asks about that, and I don't see enough content about that. Though there's people who will talk about the rule set and how it works on pen and paper, but they don't really necessarily cover it in a virtual tabletop. And I think that's a missing component to the content that's available online and throughout our community, regardless of the platform. I don't see it anywhere, to be honest. Yeah. And sci-fi alone is kind of smaller too, the footprint for it. So that was the main 3 events. And then tonight, of course, I think I mentioned that we're going to potentially give out a prize tonight. Is that right, Rob?
That's right. You said that you were sponsoring
Yep.
a giveaway of the Shadow of the Demon Lord rule set, which Gwydion's going to go over here.
Yep.
And I'm pulling it up on screen right now. I'm trying to find it.
So that's our big thing here on the show, is to kind of get that highlighted. And just as a kind of a precursor to that, if you are using the Shadow of the Demon Lord rule set, it is like a lot of fun. I played it once or twice with Gwydion, and I have most of the content. It doesn't seem like it's overly priced, and I do like Robert Schwab because he's really nice. And Gwydion kind of gave me a heads up. He's like, "Yeah, this guy's really cool." So I reached out to him and I said, "Hey, can I use your art assets to create, like social media stuff?" And he was totally cool with that. And so I like.
Yeah, we tweeted that thing that you sent me.
Yep.
This is what you made for tonight's show. Yeah, that's nice of him.
So
yeah, Schwab's a really nice guy. He's super nice. Very accessible.
He's kind of been around. He's been around the industry. He's worked with. I think he worked with Wizards of the Coast at one point, and he's been. He's not just someone who just came up with this. I mean, he's a guy that's been out there for a while, so he has his own take on fantasy and horror, and he kind of combines those pretty well. that rule set is actually pretty well developed. I want to say that when it first came out, it was pretty cool, but now there's like tons of content now. It's not just a few rule books, and they've fine tuned it. I mean, they've been working on it ever
I
since,
was
and they're still doing
surprised
it.
how much other stuff there is for Shadow with the Demon.
Yeah, here's the bundle right here. So there's
They're kicking
It's
ass.
24 modules.
24.
Right now.
Wow.
More on the way.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
just
good.
crazy.
Wow.
Also, can I just point out something?
Sure.
While
Sure.
my kid yells in the background, sorry. It is so affordable compared
It
to
is.
Lotsy products or some of the other like Pathfinder even. Pathfinder products are crazy expensive, but that's a topic for
Right.
another day. But $25 for the rule set, and it looks like a lot of these add-ons are in the $10 range. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yep. And
Yeah,
if you get the bundle, you get,
amazing.
25% off or 20% off. So the rule set's only $20 if you do that.
Wow, that's
Another
that's really impressive.
another cheap way to get it is to win it tonight, where it's free.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And all the
Well-
adventures are bundled too. So when you see $8.99, that's 4 adventures.
Wow,
It's kinda
Oh,
hard,
wow.
but
it's even
but if you click-
better.
Wow,
Jeez.
I didn't know. That's 4 adventures. Holy crap.
Yeah, I can go through that when it.
Yeah, let us
Holy
know.
cow!
Well, this is exciting.
That's some bang for your buck.
And Leyrun, was there anything else you wanted to say before we moved on to Shadow of the Demon Lord?
Not really. Just want to again thank everyone, and I'm really happy that we were able to give the celebration, and hope to have another one next year.
Yeah,
Maybe it'll be a little bigger, maybe not.
just on the
5, 6 years? Which one was it? 5?
six.
6. Good
Yep.
Lord.
And on behalf of the community, I'd like to just say not only thank you for Founders Day weekend, but thank you in general for having Fantasy Grounds Academy, because I think it's a very valuable asset for the community, for members, especially new people. Also, it's fun to reminisce about how, when you and I first talked about it and you were going to start it, you were going to call it the Fantasy Grounds Church, and I talked you out of it. And it was going to be Sundays where people got together, and it took Doug and John, the owners of Smiteworks, it took them a couple years to, is this real? Is this a fly by night? Is it going to stay around? And then, you became a force of nature with however many 10,000 plus members at your Discord server, and then, you got the website.
Yeah, we're
and
at
everything.
9,500 right now.
9,500. Okay, 10,000 close.
Yep.
It's the same. And then, but yeah, you got a link on the wiki from, I've never gotten that. And they really count on. I think at this point, after they bought the company in 2015 or whenever it was, now they sort of count on having you guys around to do the classes and everything, because as everyone knows that's new to Fantasy Grounds, there's a bit of a learning curve. It's very much worth it to go through it, but it's not something you're gonna get everything. I mean, we're still learning stuff, and also they're still
learn stuff.
yeah,
all the
and also
time.
they're constantly updating it, right? So they're adding new
it
things. So
changes every week. I mean,
yeah, it does. But having FGA around, I think is, my personal opinion. I mean, I might be a little biased here, but my personal opinion is Smiteworks doesn't actually know how good they have it having somebody around who is kind of a, it used to be called the college, right? But they got away from that. But it's an academy, it's a college, it's a teaching place, and it's a place where people can go and learn and share, and it's amazing. And you do it all with, you got a couple people helping you, but basically you put this thing together, and yeah, it's a good thing is what I'm trying to say. I'm not very good at complimenting thing without stumbling on myself, but
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
The real thing that we kind of moved from the college thing, because people were saying, "Oh, you shouldn't need to go to a college to learn the platform," and
Right.
then it was like, but now
it just
it's more
happened to
like-
be it ended up being. It wouldn't bother me personally, but it ended up being a bad name choice as far as the company was concerned. But when you change it to Academy,
we rebranded.
yeah,
Right,
exactly.
we rebranded, but we got over it, and right now we're more focusing on just kind of inspiring people and bringing people together. That's really what the Founders Day weekend is to bring publishers, players, game masters different people together. So we're sharing knowledge, and that we're also promoting each other, and we're kind of getting together and kind of working these things out. And, so that's really what I hope for. It's not for prestige or fame or anything like that. This
Just
is more like selfless. It's a
on a
thankless job.
Yeah.
But,
Well, and that's why I
on a
wanted to make
side
it.
note on that, Leyrun, I ran a few one shots during past cons, and the new players that pop on your table is fun. I mean, it really is. I had one guy who had never even installed the software before, and we had fun. Right? I
Cool.
mean, that day he installed the software and was running it and having fun. So, I mean,
Yeah. And people,
That's
you
awesome.
wish that everybody was on camera for that, because you can hear their eyes widening when they see certain stuff, like all the
right.
dice for fireball in the chat, or where you're like, whoa, and then stuff that's and I remember sometimes in 2015 when I first turned the software on and started using it and got in a couple games online and stuff, and I would just sit there in awe of what Fantasy Grounds could do. Now I just take it all for granted, right? But it was so cool that first day. But by the way, I forgot to do this, but I have to thank the Garvster in the chat for resubbing to the channel for 54 months. Thank you, Garvster. You're awesome.
Heck yeah, man.
Everybody hit that, smash that follow button, hit that subscribe. Robin, I don't know how to do it. It's social media. It's figured fate. You guys know how to do it. All right, well, good. So thank you, Leyrun, again, and let's move on to Gwydion. Now, Gwydion, I think you're going to share your screen, and we'll
Sure.
bring that up. We'll bring that up for people to look at. I don't have to share mine anymore. And then we'll take a look at Shadow of the... Mar Mussman has resubbed 25 months. Thank you, Mar Mussman. Thank you so much. And we will be giving a copy away of the rule set at the end of the show, so don't go anywhere. So yeah, Gwydion, take it away, sir.
Awesome. Now, can you see?
Yes, I do see your
screen?
screen,
Okay.
and I'm going to maybe
All right,
try to
so-
make it big as I can here.
So a couple things before I jump in. First, I definitely want to thank Damned and Kevin, or also known as Spoofer. So the three of us have been the ones working on the all the Shadow of the Demon Lord content. Damned did all of the coding, so everything that you see in the rule set is from him, and Spoofer did all the record creation. I did all the grunt work, all the conversion reference manual, all that sort of thing. But been working on this for quite some time. So, Schwab is so prolific with what he writes. He's got over 200 supplements on Shadow of the Demon Lord. And
Damn.
as far as I know, Fantasy Grounds has more content than any virtual tabletop out there. So a lot of content that you can find. Now, I kind of mentioned this when Leyrun was talking, but if you click on, or if you go into some of the adventures, I'll just click on one of these in the store. So most of these are all packs. So you can see here in this first pack, there's actually 4 separate adventures, 2 starting adventures and 2 novice adventures. And that just refers to the level in Shadow of the Demon Lord. There's starting, novice, expert, and master are the different tiers. So usually you're getting several adventures, or even in the supplements, like this one down here, Curse of the Light. If you click on this, this is a pack of several supplements. There's actually 5 supplements in this one. So it's a little hard to kind of explain that in the store, but just know that usually you're getting several items when you purchase some of these things.
That's really cool. Hold on one second, Gwydion. You guys see me struggling here. Is there anybody in chat that's a Discord expert? I cannot for the life of me figure out how to make this the whole screen. And I just don't know how to do it, or...
Did you pop it out?
I did not. How do you... Yeah, see, I don't know how to do anything.
How
Pop
about
out.
If you're
down there in the bottom right, pop out. Well, mine popped out, so I don't know how to.
Whoops. Yeah. Pop out. Let's see here. Pop out. Okay, there we go.
And then there's a little 3 dots at the top, and then you want to uncheck the show non-video participants box. You make us go away at least. Other than that, there's not really a way to make it all
Isn't there a full screen?
bigger.
There is a
Individual
full
box?
screen, but it still has you. It doesn't, like if you look at the stream, it's only showing like half the screen. It says, seems like you could make it bigger than that.
And you clicked on watch stream?
Yeah, I did.
Darn it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the same as I have it.
All right. Well, sorry everybody. I thought for sure you could make it the whole screen, but I guess maybe not. Ooh, there we go. I made it a little bigger. There we go. That's good enough. That's big. All right. Thank you, Robin, for leading me to the pop-up.
Yeah,
That's what I
sorry.
needed.
I tried.
All right.
Okay, Gwydion, back to you, sir. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. Let me get back these out of here 1 second. So the other thing I wanted to show.
You could
Hopefully I didn't
source
close
it
the
bigger in
window.
OBS, Rob, if you wanted to.
So, yeah, if he wants to, go for it. The other thing I wanted
No,
to
it's big
mention to
enough now.
Yeah, so if you go to the Forge, and I'm happy to send Rob these links later, but if you want to just test out Shadow of the Demon Lord, you're not sure about it, and you just want to find the rule set, the rule set is available for free on the Forge. What you're paying for in the store, the $24.99, is basically you're getting the entire core rule book, and you're getting the rule set. But if you just want to test it out, literally, you can find it on the Forge, and all of the automation, and I'll show you a little bit tonight, all of that is available in this for free. So
That's
check it
amazing.
out,
I had
and-
no. Oh my god, that's amazing. I didn't know. That.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, and this is updated. This is just as updated as the official version, but like I said, you're getting just all of the records and automation in the paid version. All right, so let's get into the Shadow of the Demon Lord. So I'm going to show a little bit, and we can go as far as you want, Rob, but I'll show a little bit just to give a little bit of flow of what's automated, what's in here.
Yeah,
So
take
I'll
it away.
theme. The theme's
Yeah, I'll
cool.
open a character sheet, and hopefully you guys can see this. I know it's going to get a little small, but so this is a kind of a first level character, and you can see all of the attributes, which are strength, agility, intellect, and will. These are all rollable. So you just kind of double click, and if you guys know Shadow of the Demon Lord, you have challenge ratings, and it's always a 10 that you're trying to achieve.
Yes.
So if you can read the chat, it tells you if it's a success or a failure. So in this case, I rolled a 12, so that's a success. If there, I could force this to a modifier. Then you should be able to see. Oh, no,
You still got a 10.
It'll tell you. It'll tell you.
Give yourself
It'll
some
tell you if it's a
veins.
failure.
Just give
You're
yourself
just,
a
you're
couple
just a
veins.
successor.
It's
That's
all
what you
good.
are.
But so, and I'll go into these, but you have all your weapons, talents,
Bastard
spells. Actually, I'll pull up the wizard. So if you look at the spells section of the wizard or the magician that I have up here, it tells you how many castings you have of each rank spell. And there's
Nice.
Hey,
ton of
hateful
automation.
defecation? I want to hear
I
that
will
sound.
be showing that. I will be showing that off, which is my favorite spell.
I think I had that when I played Shadow of
It's
the
a-
Demon Lord.
It's a good spell. But yes, and once you click through these, like if I utilize my spells, let's just look at here. It tells you how many you've casted. And then once you cast more than, or once you cast as many spells as you're allowed, it'll gray out. You can't use it anymore.
Oh yeah,
and
cool.
then if you actually do a rest,
I like that it grays out and doesn't go away.
Yes.
Like,
right?
That would be
then-
be nice. Sometimes in Fantasy Grounds, like in the 5e rule set, and probably anything core RPG that's not specialized, you cast a spell, and when you're out of slots, the spell disappears if you're in the combat mode, and then sometimes you
Yes.
actually find a reason, like, oh, I need that spell again. I'm not gonna cast it, but I need to do the damage from it or
well, I
whatever.
didn't
Yeah,
actually cast it, and then you gotta go reset. Yeah,
right. And
Yeah.
you can go to preparation mode or whatever and find it. But yeah, that would be great if they had it where it just grayed out. That's an amazing feature.
That's the
It's
reason I
nice.
never use combat mode, for the record, in 5th edition. I never
That's the
used
reason
it.
I don't play spellcasters. This easy.
Just be a barbarian. Fuck it.
Rogue.
Exactly. The other thing that's pretty cool is when obviously most of your just standard attacks are going to be against the defense or the armor class, but it's called defense in Shadow of the Demon Lord. But you can see on these spells, it'll tell you if, in this case, like Hateful Defecation, is you're using your intelligence against the NPC or the monster's strength. So it'll actually, and I'll show this when we get into combat, but it'll roll your intelligence against his opposing strength, and then it'll tell you if you succeed or fail.
Ooh, cool.
Sweet.
Pretty cool. All right, gear, pretty straight. Actually, I'll do this one here. Yeah, pretty straightforward. It has encumbrance and everything you would expect. There are a number of drag and drop records, like professions, languages. So all of these things that have this little icon here, you can click on it and it'll pull up, as long as you have the core rule book or other supplements, it'll pull up the different professions. And if I want to add any of these, like if this guy's an artisan, I can just drag and drop
Nice.
it. And same thing for all of these different records. We're still working. I don't think the vulnerabilities I think that's a notation right now. It's one of the few things that isn't automated yet. Yeah. So that's the character sheet. So
Yeah, because this is still pretty new, right? I mean, it's only been out less than a year or whatever, right?
It is. But here, let me pull this up. The maps that Schwab does are not very. I wish the maps were a little better, but I'm with Robin. I'll use something like Dungeon Alchemist, and I usually create my own.
See, I'm actually a big fan of maps like this. Like, it's not
what
that,
he does,
right? It's not that artful, but it makes me feel like I'm 15 years old playing basic D&D when I first started, and we drew on graph paper. It gives you that.
Yeah.
That's the
which,
it's
like,
very
I can
nostalgic.
totally understand that, but like, since we're using such a visual medium now, like, I would rather have, really, I don't want to say well done, because I'm not meaning that these maps aren't well done, but like, I just really want that extra like visual aids.
Yeah, I got away from the dry erase board for a reason. Okay.
No, I'm with
I'm down with that as well. I would say I equally like maps that are artful.
Yeah.
And now we have
like
animation.
Super against them, but
Right.
I do just prefer the more artsy fartsy shit that's out there. So.
Although I got very upset with WotC when they started using black and white art in the books. It made me
even though they were still using what Mike Schlee maps, they were just black and white. I was not a fan. I know what you're talking about.
Definitely.
The ones in Rime of the Frost Maiden, I think.
My money's worth.
Yeah.
I did.
Okay, Gwydion, we're done complaining. Go ahead. This is awesome.
Sorry. Expect a few derails if you're going to come chat with us.
It's all good, of course. So as far as initiatives, so you can see on Gwydion, we have a warrior and we have a magician, and kind of in the middle top section of the character sheet, you'll see fast and slow, and then also if there's a surprise. But if you double click on these, and if you keep an eye on the combat tracker in the top left where it says initiative, so if I want to go fast and I double click, it's going to change that icon to fast, like a lightning bolt. And if I go to the monster and click down here, so if I open up the monster, I'll close this. If I double click in here, and I say he wants to go fast, it'll put him in the correct order, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that's right. I do remember when we played, you had to pick fast or slow for your initiative. I remember that.
Yeah,
that probably affects what you can do in the round, right? I'm assuming
it does. And so what this shows off is, basically all all PCs go first. So if I'm doing a fast turn, it's going to always put me above the NPCs in initiative. But but if I go slow, I will be behind the monster who went fast. And all it means is in Shadow of the Demon Lord, you can do movement and an action. If you're going slow, if you're going fast, you can do either a movement or an action. That's the distinction. But pretty cool. And ties are broken by agility. It's not, technically rules as written, but just to get this into fantasy grounds and allow people to do a real initiative order. That's how we did it. And I think it works. It works pretty well. All right, let's do that here. Move this over. I want to show, we'll start with showing off the warrior. Make it simple. So I'm going to target, actually, I need to move it over here. So with a warrior, you get what is called weapons training. And again, it's going to be hard to read. But when attacking with a weapon, you make an attack roll with one boon. So a boon is basically, instead of advantage, disadvantage, you roll a d6 and you add the d6 to your roll.
A d6.
So not quite as swingy as a d20.
Well, yeah, well, the advantage and disadvantage is mathematically a -5, so kind of could be better or worse than a advantage.
It can, but I just
disadvantage,
mean
right?
it's going to be a 1 through 6 versus a 1 through 20. You're right; it might average out, but it can be super swingy, and it just, I mean, people like it or they don't. I really like the Boon Bane system, but what's cool
I do too.
Yeah. So what's cool is what I've done here on the character sheet is I've already added, and these little white and red baseball diamond home plate icon. You can see I've added a 1 into the weapons because that'll give him a boon. So if I go ahead and make my target and I we'll roll the battle axe, and you can see it rolled with a d20 and it rolled with 1 boon. So we color coded these so that boons are green and banes are red, so that you kind of know pretty obviously. And then we also did like a banner color down here. So this is a normal hit. If I'm going to add a huge modifier and roll that again. So in this case, it has a gold banner. What that signifies is there are several things that happen in Shadow of the Demon Lord if you roll a 20 or above. So in this case, I rolled a 22. It's signifying it. It says hit, and it's basically, it's not necessarily a crit, but there are many spells and things that actually give you something more if you roll above a 20. So this little icon is our way of signifying, hey, you need to pay attention. There could be something else.
You got a gold star coming up, yeah.
And the same thing if you roll again and miss. So in this case, so it's it says miss, but it also has kind of that red banner to make it clear that you missed, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
All right. One other thing here, which is there are a number of these things that are coded automatically, but for a bastard sword, this has a trait called cumbersome, and that gives you a bane on your attack. So in this case, he's going to have a bane on his attack, but he also has a boon from the weapon training. So if I roll that, it just rolls 1 d20 because it's canceling out the boons and the banes. Yeah. So it will recognize, like if you have 3 boons and 1 bane, you're going to get 2 boons.
So you can have multiple boons and multiple banes.
You can.
Ooh.
Yep.
Oh.
And is it always a 1-to-1 cancellation?
It is.
Like one cancels the other? Yeah, okay. So, oh my God, my cat.
So, but you can have, you can still, if there's 3 and 1, you'll have 2. So three boons and 1 bane, you're going to have 2 boons. So, all right, let's do some spell casting. Actually, let's do spell casting. So I'm going to go to the wizard. And we're going to go to Hateful Defecation because I love it so much.
Oh, I totally would have a Sirenscape sound effect for that too, right?
I know, right? I will do sounds at some point. I'll put together a sound pack, but I'm working on some other things right now.
Even if I just had one chat trigger in the whole module, it would have that one.
There you go.
What's something?
All right. So in this case, if we rolled here, you can see, again, it might be a little hard to see, but you can see it's intellect versus strength. So it is rolling based on our character sheet and against the monster's stat rolls. So this one was against the Acolyte. So the Acolyte's strength is a 13. So you can see up in the chat, it's a 13, and I rolled a 19 against his 13. So the spell succeeded. So it tells you that. And then if I roll the damage, rolled minimum damage, but you can see it automatically applied the damage up in the combat tracker.
3 points
if
of
I-
defecation damage. Look
Yeah.
at that.
Hey, Robin, poop damage.
Yeah.
That's
Fun
you-
fact, this is you guys. I don't. Okay, I'm gonna derail for a second. Please forgive me,
Sure.
but I had to go on a deep dive to find proof that I have played Shadow of the Demon Lord 3 years ago, mind you, with Rob, with Fury, and Schmo. I'm sure you all know Schmo, or most of you know Schmo, and Engorgio. Anyways, we had a good time. It was so memorable to me that I was so enamored by poop damage that I asked
Nice.
Diablo Bob to make an extension for 5th edition so that we could have custom damage types in 5th edition. And he
That's right.
delivered naturally. So yeah, it's
So
actually
that was
Shadow of
poop
the Demon
damage?
Lord that spawned
So-
my absolute need, nay, desire for poop damage.
The
Love it.
Shadow of the Demon Lords has affected Fantasy Grounds long before Gwydia got all of it.
Yeah, because we were playing it back. You know, there
like,
wasn't even
on
an official rule set
camera,
or anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were just rolling our dice, and Shmo was like teaching us the rules, like as we
Yep.
went. You know, we effectively played in person at the table, but over the internet, basically.
Right.
It was fun.
Awesome.
For those of you that heard the purring, this cat is fucking slobbering all over me. Go ahead, Gwydia.
Oh, it's all good. So the reason I rolled so much damage is if you now look at the acolyte of the new god, and I'll kind of come up to the top here and show it, you can see a little icon that says half health. So that's another designation. There are some things that trigger when someone has more than half of their health damaged. So that's another way that we're trying to designate and show
Oh,
that
like
hey,
Bloody
this
was
is-
in 4th
exactly.
edition. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
So the other one I was going to show you is we'll do a quick fireball.
Fireball.
We'll,
fireball,
we'll
always
target
good.
both of them. We'll see how this works, but let me clear for a second. Clear chat, and we'll roll. All right.
2
Okay,
reds.
so in this case, they both failed. Let me see if I can get. Could probably force it, but let's see if I can get one. Okay. Well, in this case, they both succeeded, but the point is when they do succeed or fail, and then I roll damage, that's a lot of damage. It will recognize that it will do half damage. So it does give you half damage when you do save on your spell. So that's all automated. Now, the other thing that is a little bit unique is the way we've implemented the effects system, and this is something Dan did. There's a section on the character sheet for effects, which I kind of like this. I think he did it. I don't know if it was a limitation in kind of how the initial effects are written into Fantasy Grounds, but if you notice where most all of you will be familiar with under the tools section in the top right, you normally see effects. We've got the effects built right into the character sheet, and you can see on the character tab, I click on effects. We've got all the effects built in, and there are effects like frightened, which will give you a bane. It'll give you 1 bane if the source is in sight. It'll give you 3 banes if the source, 3 banes if the source is in sight, 1 if it's not. But it'll give you 3 banes on all of your attack rolls and challenge rolls. So if we drag and drop that onto the character sheet, you can see now, and it's ticked as being on. So if I roll any of my strength challenge rolls or my attacks, let's just roll a strength challenge roll. It's going to roll it with 3 banes. So it's going to drop the 2 lowest and give me the worst bane. So I rolled a 20, but -6 is 14. Now, if I turn that off and it's only like for a round, or I want to keep it on, but it's not on now, and if I roll it again, it won't roll with the effect.
And,
But it's kind of
the
a
player
clever-
has that control on, off, and stuff. That's pretty cool.
I think they do. That's actually a really good point, Drake. I think they do, but I'd have to confirm that. And you can also, if you go into the combat tracker, and you can see the effects are here as well. So like if I did want to have this open, and I pulled the frightened that is source in sight, if I pull the one not in sight, I can drag and drop it right into the combat tracker too in the effects section. And then you can toggle like, hey, the source is not in sight now. This one's active, and I can toggle between the two.
Oh man, that's sweet. That's handy.
It's a little bit unique, but
Wow.
I think when people get used to it, it's actually makes effects really easy. And like you can, if you only want to have an effect that applies only to a couple of your skills or attributes, it's super easy to do. So, and you can see we've got all of the effects coded from the core rulebook. What else did I want to show? We've got a ton because of all the supplements we've built out. Let me get rid of it for a second. There are so many, all of these are the different supplements we've built, but you can see there's a ton of different ancestries, which are basically, race from 5th edition. You look at paths.
Ancestry sounds so wonderful, though. It really does.
I mean, and I mean, there's so many different, these are all the novice paths. Yep, you can see all the different, there's so many different paths to choose from. I have a separate video on character creation.
Yeah, it's my cat. Sorry.
Wow.
I was going to say I have a separate video on character creation, but everything's drag and drop, right? All you have to do is just, drag the ancestry on, drop it, it populates. I mean, you will have to drag some of the things like the talents, like in this case, you can pull up the human ancestry and see all of the details. It tells you everything. But then if you wanted to drop the language onto your character sheet, you just drop the record onto the link. And there's some little neat tidbits that you'll find as you get into this. Like in this case, if you click on this little circle, then it tells you that not only to speak, but you can read and write it. So, I mean, there's a couple neat little, additions there. We've got the corruptions, marks of darkness, and these are all rollable. So yeah, just a ton of really cool, I think, automation. I think the last thing that's really left is probably, I think he's still working on the resistances and vulnerabilities to have those automate. But most everything else you could think of, I feel like is pretty well automated. And we are we're working on, if anybody knows Freeport Companion with Shadow of the Demon Lord, I think it was Green. Do you pronounce it Ronin, or is that how you pronounce Green?
I
Ronin?
say Ronin.
I say Ronin.
Okay.
I've heard people say Ronin.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, but
I think those are great Poupon eaters.
I wouldn't invite those to the party.
Drake.
But I think they created the Freeport city, and so we've done the Freeport Companion, and we're actually doing that trilogy of the adventures, which will take your adventures from 0 to 10. And that's one thing that's cool about Shadow of the Demon Lord is you only go up to 10th level, and it's kind of intended to literally be able to level up each session if you do a one shot. So that
I like that.
You could do an entire campaign in 10 sessions.
I love it.
So it's
That's
pretty
awesome.
You know what I'm looking forward to is I know I'm going to get to play this soon, before the end of the year.
Nice.
So
that's
so are you,
that's
Robin, and so is Rob. I know
awesome.
Heck yeah.
I can't wait. I just want to make a quick point about that. That D&D is designed to sort of last. I mean, they specifically make it so that you have to play for a year, or whatever, which I get, which is fine. But I like that. Leveling up once per session and being able to go all the way to the top in 10. I mean, that seems pretty fantastic because what that's going to do for you is give you a chance to play every class and every race and every, yeah.
I mean, if you hear Schwab talk about Shadow of the Demon Lord, I mean, he wanted it to be kind of a beer and pretzels kind of thing. It's just like, look, it's intended to be pretty fast. You can get into it quickly, and you can do a campaign and, whatever, 10 weeks or however you want to do that.
For commitment phobes like myself.
That's right.
Me too.
So for the flaky people that only want to get in for a minute.
Listen, I'm a mother of 3, okay? I can only commit to so much.
Listen.
I love it. And we can do this after the giveaway, Rob, but I also have maybe just a little surprise that I will announce on the stream as well.
Oh, good. Okay.
Do that now
Excellent.
I
or
am
later.
intrigued.
We can no.
Right, you
Let's
gotta
make
stay
people
stay around.
make people
Nothing of a
wait.
sexual nature, I assure you.
That's right.
Yeah, I assure you. Yeah, make people wait. Don't say it now. We make people stay the whole time. So if you guys leave, you don't get the prize. You don't get the surprise.
That's right.
It's a prize and a surprise.
Stick around.
Right.
So
I can stop
if
sharing
chat,
if you want to. Yeah.
I was just following up on, you had said, chat, if you guys have any questions about this rule set or the game itself or anything of that nature, feel free to type those up. If you you can either highlight your message as Mosk and Foz just did, or you can prepend your statements with question so that I can see them and relay them to our hosts here. There were a couple of resources that Leyrun shared here in Discord that, Rob, if you're okay, I'd like to link
go
these
for
things
it.
to chat. So I will talk about that really briefly. There is a playlist on YouTube from Leyrun. Give me the link for this. This is going over a lot of content that has been made for Shadow of the Demon Lord in Fantasy Grounds. So this is a YouTube playlist, so you guys can watch these after the show or over the weekend. Well, the weekend's over. You guys get what I'm saying. Watch these later. Bookmark it. So there's the link for that. You guys can check out that YouTube playlist if you want to learn more about this rule set in particular. Sorry. And then last thing that Leyrun has been nice to give to me is a filter on the Fantasy Grounds store that you can use to browse everything available for Shadow of the Demon Lord. And I do want to remind you all that a lot of this stuff is very, very affordable. So if you're on a budget, but you still want to game some, I think that this is an excellent choice, or for people who just really like getting a lot of value for the money that they spend, which is the camp that I fall into. So here's your Fantasy Grounds store rule set filter that will give you just Shadow of the Demon Lord content. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna run Mosk and Foz's question by you guys.
Very well done,
How
Robin.
long? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well done, I said.
Ooh,
I was just telling you well done.
Oh, thanks. Okay, sorry.
yeah.
All right. So Mosk and Foz asked in chat, how long in hours did you work on this rule set, Gwydion? This looks awesome and very well thought out.
Well, I mean, again, I'd have to put it back to Damned. I mean, honestly, he's told me he spent well over 100 hours, a couple hundred hours.
Wow.
It's probably more than that, to be candid, because I mean, if you saw the chat that we've had, our private chat between him, myself, and Kevin Spoofer, I mean, we've been working on this since last, I don't know, was it last fall or summer?
Long time.
It's been so long. So yeah, I mean, I would have to say hundreds of hours. I personally put in, weeks of time on the conversion. So look, I mean, we do it because, honestly, I get a little frustrated at times seeing other virtual tabletops that get a lot of press and a lot of publicity and just, we wanted to do as much as we could to really shine or shine a flashlight, I guess, on Shadow of the Demon Lord. So we put a lot of effort, and I'm hoping that people just enjoy it. And like Robin says, I hope it's affordable enough. We worked with Schwab on the pricing, and we had to just do what he wanted, which I think was really reasonable. So I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. But it's a long-winded way of saying a ton of time.
It looks like a great rule set too for
Mm-hmm. I love
especially
it.
the Fantasy Ground application.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. It's a fun, easy to pick up I mean, if you haven't GM'd before or run a game, I feel like it's one of the simpler games to run too. So I would encourage you to try it. I mean, just, pick it up and try it.
I learned it in like 20 minutes of playing it. Like it was very easy to pick up, but I still feel like that's not to say it didn't lack any depth or anything like that. There was still a lot of choices you can make as a player if that's something that you look forward to in tabletop RPGs. Your choices matter, things like that. And I had a blast when we played it, and I still remember it to this day. We played 3 years ago, so it was a good time.
I'm always a favorite of the art, so I want to see some more art too.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's so good.
Pretty crazy.
All right, guys in the chat, if you have any more questions, now's the time, because he's here and You got the expert waiting.
And you
to
can
answer your
always
question.
reach out to me anytime. I'm on the Fantasy Grounds, Shout of the Demon Lord forum or Discord channel, and yeah, you know where to find me.
There's one more question from Musk and Fuzz. What type of rule set, like 5e or 2d20, would you name this? So I guess meaning like what kind of classification does this fall under? Is it like a d20 system? Like how would you classify this type of game?
I guess I would classify it as a D20. It's got I feel like it has a fair bit of similarities to 5e. Just one of the biggest differences I think is that Bane boon system instead of advantage disadvantage.
Yeah.
So just having those D6s where and just if that wasn't clear, you might roll if you have 3 Banes, you'll roll 3 dice, but you're only going to take the highest one. So you're only ever going to have up to a 6 added or subtracted from your die. So
okay.
I like that. It's kind of
Yeah, and if
of
you
a
look at the
fun-
chat there where you rolled 3 Banes, 2 of them are sort of
Grayed
faded to
out,
show
I
you the
see.
show you the highest
Yeah,
one.
right.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Cool.
The other thing,
Yeah, I like
the
that.
other thing that's cool on the challenge rating back to the simplicity is you're always rolling against a 10. So I mean, you might have things that go up and down because of boons or banes, but you're not having to worry about I'm level 20 and now my target is 35. I mean,
Yeah, my
it's always
bonus
a
isn't
10.
high enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always a 10.
And some people like or don't like it, but I mean, I think it's for this system it works pretty well. But otherwise, yeah, probably similarities. Like I said, I would say more like 5e maybe.
Another question from Nafum. For some reason it's not okay. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties.
I can read it if you need me to.
What's the priority for buying add-ons? Which ones are the best in your opinion?
That's a good question. I'm going to pull up the store for a second.
As he's pulling the store up, I would like to just comment 77 degrees where you live. Lucky.
Nice.
Thank you.
Like, you know how in 5e, a lot of people will say, like, you need, obviously, Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, but, like, a lot of people will consider, like, Tasha's Cauldron and Xanathar's pretty essential nowadays. So, like, does Shadow of the Demon Lord have similar things like that?
Rob 2E coding. Essential. Thank you.
For me, the nice thing is, I mean, you really can have a full featured game with just the core. However, what I always look at, to me, the core add-ons are the Demon Lord's Companion. So, I mean, I think this is one that it adds a bunch of expert paths. So most of what these do is just give you more ability to expand what you want to play. So this has 6 expert paths, a dozen master, which are the higher level paths, more like traditions for magic. So I would say Demon Lord's Companion, and there's also, I think there's 3 core supplements: Exquisite Agony, Terrible Beauty, and Tombs of Desolation are kind of and Uncertain Faith are the four supplements he put out right away. So I would take a look at those, and then the only other one I would point to is Occult Philosophy. So if you're really into magic and spells, this adds 800 spells.
So
wow! Goodness,
this is really
the way my jaw just dropped.
I know, my eyes blew out of my head.
Lotzi would never give us 800 spells at once.
No way.
And it also gives you 20 expert paths, 40 master paths. I mean, there's so many. And what's cool about the way the leveling up system works is, as you level and you add paths, there is no restriction in, I guess, what you'd call multi-classing. So I could start as a warrior, and then as I keep leveling up and get new paths, I can pick anything. There are absolutely no restrictions other than, like, if you have to have a certain strength, maybe for I don't know, certain maybe
Barbarian
certain
or whatever
talents or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, literally, it's super cool that there's just no restrictions at all. So I know that was quite a few, but you don't need. Oh, I accidentally started a new version. There we go. But yeah, I would probably say, yeah, if you're really into spells, Occult Philosophy, but Demon Lord's Companion second, and then those 4 supplements is, kind of the order I would go in personally.
All right, another question from Musk and Foz. Are there any extensions for Shadow of the Demon Lord? Any that you feel are kind of required or recommended?
Not really. There are
How
a couple
does
that
one-click druid work over there? No, I'm kidding.
I don't think you need
Um,
that.
if you look on the Fantasy Ground Forge, we released a couple of free, but they're not really extensions as much as just modules that like will help you sort spells quicker. I did a sound playlist, but it was before the new integration with Sirenscape, so it's on my list to release a full featured sound set for Shadow the Demon Lord, but that's not out there yet. So yeah, as far as extensions, I mean, certainly a lot of them should work if you some of the core RPG extensions. But honestly, I don't run with many at all. I can't even think of what extensions I typically use with my my GMing.
Yeah, I'm thinking like core RPG stuff that might like go good with it. Maybe like the ones that let you, I don't know, the what's it called? Friend
Like
zone where you
changing
can control
or
minions and I don't even know
There
if that's a
could
thing in
be.
Shadow of the Demon Lord.
make font bigger or something.
Yeah, yeah, just like kind
Oh,
of
I do that,
generic
yeah.
things like that. Yeah. That
Yeah.
I could see that being pretty
Yeah.
useful. All right. Well, I didn't see any other questions. Type them up now if you
Awesome.
got them, folks.
Type them up.
Come up now.
Otherwise, we can move. Gwydion, was there anything else you were going to go over, or can we move to the prize?
We can move to the prize, and then
All
I can
right.
do my little special
You gonna
thing.
do your little announcement that you were gonna
Little secrets.
secrets?
Right.
I shouldn't use the word little because that sounds wrong.
Yeah.
But
Big?
you guys get what I mean. Okay, let's do the prize. No, let's do a raffle. We're gonna do a keyword raffle, and you are gonna
gotta
win
be
the Shadow
proof
of
damage.
the Demon Lord rule set for FG. And let's make it. Why don't we make it SOTTDL? Shadow of the Demon Lord. Let's do it. Okay, guys. So in the chat, if you'd like to be entered into the
Thought it
drawing,
was Steuben.
no,
it's
that
written
wasn't going to be the keyword.
for poop damage.
So yeah, so exclamation point SOTDL. So make sure look after you type it in, look at it and make sure you did it right. If you think you did it wrong, you can enter it again because you can only enter one. The computer won't let you enter twice. So
Boffrin,
SOTDL.
you lost the letter T. Get it in there, Boffrin.
30
I'm
seconds.
watching chat.
SOTDL, everybody.
Oh, there you go. Hey, good job.
He made it in. Fury Fate entered the drawing. All right, 10 seconds, everybody. Yes, we're gonna give away. By the way, this is courtesy of. Normally I'm buying these prizes, but this is courtesy of Leroon from Fantasy Grounds Academy, is who is sponsoring this giveaway. So congrats and thanks to him. Is Leroon still with us?
I believe so. Just muted.
He's muted. Okay. All right. Let's see who wins. Boom. Agent Covenant. Congratulations. You are the winner. So here's what we need you to do. I need you to send me a personal message in Discord. I'll give you the link in case you don't have it. I'm pretty sure you're on Discord. And then send me your Fantasy Grounds forum ID, because that is how the prize I'll buy it. Basically what it's going to happen is I'm going to buy it, and I'll send it to you, and then Leroon is going to PayPal me the whatever it costs, $24.99. So make sure and do that, and we shall.
Your reward prize screen.
Oh my God! Oh, the prize screen. There we go.
I mean, it's good audio, yeah, but
Yeah,
we got a visual for this.
That's right.
Do that.
Thank you, Robin. I don't know how to run a show. I don't know what I'm
Fantasy
doing.
Grounds, the Fantasy Grounds option in step 3. Fantasy Grounds forum name. Okay.
Right. Okay. You're
Look, I'm just trying to be helpful. Okay?
That's right. You're very helpful. I don't think I could do the show with
thanks.
another person here. Like Drake is here, and you're here, and Beard's here. And if you guys weren't here, I don't know what would happen.
Yeah, I'm not helpful at all. I just muck up the whole works.
I also have an overlay, you guys, for Shadow of the Demon Lord that I made a while back. I got permission from Schwab to distribute it.
Oh,
So-
let's take a look at that. So I'm going to go now to the driveway cam. This was redeemed in the middle of what Gwydion was doing, and of course I didn't want to stop what he was doing. So
Yes.
this is the driveway cam, everybody. That's what you get. There's the construction cones to the right because they're building. Would that cat shut up?
I think
Oh.
Bob's birds.
Why are
You
you...
feed them. They're hangry.
49 minutes, your automatic feeder gives you food at 8 o'clock. Would you shut the fuck up? No, I think it's because every time I sit at the computer, they meow at me like, you're not paying attention to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, so let's go back to... Rob's not going to forget to put the screen back on with the thing.
That's so true. This is Waves. So true.
Let's do... let's show... Did I just hang up? No, I didn't. Let's see. Was Leroon put the... Did you put the over... Here it is, right here. So... This... This is... oh, yeah, so there it is. That's a Shadow of the Demon Lord's overlay. So it's transparent in the middle. And then there you go. And did you... How can they get that, Leroon? How can they get that overlay? Oh, I hung up. I did hang up on them. Sorry, guys.
There you are.
I was. It's funny because I went back to Discord and I said, did I hang up on them? And then I saw all your icons there, and I'm like, no, that's good. And then I just kept going because I thought you guys were there. Leroon, how can they get that overlay? Because it's pretty cool.
They can PM me, or you can give it out. I mean, we have permission to give it away. We can't sell it or
right, but
post it anywhere. But
it's
I'll link it. I got you. I
yeah,
got you, Sam.
oh, because you
So
can
make
link
all
it.
these
things.
Duh. Okay. Thank
it's
you, Robin.
it's 1920 by 1080 PNG. It's already got a cutout. You can make your own, obviously, but the reason I did that was because I noticed that Gwydion was still rocking an older one at one point.
Yep.
And anyone who wants to stream it online, this is a good way to kind of showcase it. That's why I made it, so that we can show it off. So
Yeah.
awesome.
So here, I'll. There we go. This is what it looks like, and the white part is a transparency. And then yeah, so Robin put the link there for you guys. If you want to grab that, just on my Discord link, you can do that absolutely. That's one thing I like about Discord is any picture you've ever posted in Discord has a permanent link. Their servers, they must have to purge that after 10 years or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've heard they expire after some indeterminate amount of time.
They would
but
have
I've
to
opened
because
leaks from like 5 years ago, and they
Yeah,
still
me
work,
too.
So.
But eventually they're gonna have they're gonna have a server farm in the buried under Oklahoma that just has pictures in it.
I mean, it's links like that to an image that's hosted in a Discord anyway. Like we can't,
Hey,
it
I
can't
just
be
got rid
taking
of
up
my
that much
photo bucket
space.
account a few months back, so it's okay.
Yeah.
I used to use
Still there. All my
Imgur.
old photo bucket.
So
I remember Photo Bucket.
the person that won the prize, Agent Covenant, I will distribute that to you after the show. So just stand by for your account to pop with. Like next time you update your account, you should have the Shadow of the Demon Lord rule set in there. And by the way, as a reminder to everyone who didn't win, you can go get if you want just the rule set and not the core rule book, you can get the rule set for free on the Forge. So let's post that one more time.
Did I just space out, or did Gwydion do the surprise thing?
No, he didn't.
Noah.
Okay.
I'll look that up.
It was already gone, and I forgot what it was already.
Nice.
Spaced out.
No, so
Before-
so go ahead, Gwydion. You can give the big surprise now if you'd like to.
Do you mind if I share my screen quickly?
Oh, let me go back and pop you out. Yeah, share your screen, and I'll pop it out this time. Pop out. I'll remember how to pop out this time. And
All right.
watch stream and pop out. How do I do it? Pop out, and then nope. And then Robin said go up and uncheck the participant thing, and then click on that. Okay, there we go. Okay. Oh, Kickstarter.
So for those of you that have followed Schwab, he's been trying to release. I don't know if I'd call it a spin-off, but it's based on the same rule set as Shadow of the Demon Lord. It's called Shadow of the Weird Wizard. And there'll be a lot more when he announces that, or when he releases this, which is on August 8th. But I just wanted everyone to know that Damned and Kevin and maybe me, depending on my time commitment, but we definitely plan on bringing this to Fantasy Grounds. So I can't say I can't say 100% it'll be part of the Kickstarter rewards, but we're going to see what we can do with Schwab on that front. But we definitely plan on bringing it. So it might be a while, but definitely expect to see that at some point.
So is this like its own rule set?
It is, like, if you go, and I can link this too, but there's a page on Schwab Entertainment that talks a little bit about it, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more on the Kickstarter. But as I understand it, most of the core rule set, kind of like Punk Apocalyptic, which was built off of Shadow of the Demon Lord, just I think it's a different setting, but most of the core rules, as I understand it, should be the same boons and banes and all that type of thing.
Nice. Is there a remind me link for this?
Can you give the Kickstarter link
can
so
I
we
share
can?
It with chat?
Yeah, I'll throw it on Discord right now. Yep.
Yeah, that way people can go click on Remind Me, and then on August 8th, it'll say, come spend money and get nice, cool shit.
See, chat, I got you.
There you go.
I got you.
Awesome.
That's so cool.
That is cool. So I want to say thank you to Gwydion and thank you to Leroon for coming and hanging out with us. Now, last time I hung up when I did this. How do I not do that this time? But thanks you guys for, there we go. Thanks you guys for coming and hanging out and showing us stuff and talking about stuff. I really appreciate it. Yeah. And Leroon, I'll get with you after the show about the prize for Covenant. And what else? Anything else? Did we miss anything? Yeah, usually we just have, there's no special plan. We used to have guests quite a bit, but Drake, how dare you? I can put one.
I'm not turning mine on. That's not happening.
Now there's not a cat. Now there's not a cat to be found in this house right now. All of a sudden.
Nice.
There's one on the fireplace back there.
Oh yeah, there's a cat back there. So normally we don't have a guest. Used to first few years we tried really hard to get guests on, but we don't do that much anymore. So it's a special treat to have not only one but two people come by and yes, Gwydion does stream. He does stream. He has I believe, what is your Twitch? Is it Gwydion with an E or?
It's Gwydion with an E. Yeah.
Gwydion. So Gwydion with an E on the end is his Twitch, you guys. As a matter of fact,
I already checked that out.
Thanks, guys. Okay. Thank you.
And that playlist that Robin showed earlier starts all the way back to our Digital Dave, and then it shows some of the games that they've played in the past, so you can get a good idea what it's like and such.
Yeah, I do have a number of play on my Shadow of the Demon Lord, on my YouTube channel. I do have a number of playthroughs on Shadow of the Demon Lord if you're interested in looking at them.
Hey, let me ask all you guys that stream. Do you guys use the Fantasy Grounds or do you use Fantasy Grounds Unity on Twitch?
Both, Unity. But Unity now.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Fantasy Grounds has 6.3 thousand followers. Unity has 116.
Yeah.
Wow, they're up to 116. I remember when there was one.
If you're in chat now, go to Fantasy Grounds Unity category on Twitch and hit the follow button on that category.
We got to get that.
Let me see if I can link it.
We got to get that up there because because then when you do anything in that category, only 116 people get noted, and that's only if they're following it. Because what can you do? You can follow something but turn off notifications. Or I don't know how the internet works. I don't really know how any of it works.
Well, everyone was doing. Sorry, Rob.
Oh, I was just gonna say, all I know is anybody that's watching right now, smash that notification, hit that follow button, subscribe, cheer bits. I don't know. Go ahead, Liren.
Well, I was gonna say before everyone was doing D&D, so I didn't know what the difference was back then.
Oh yeah, right. So that's what I do is if we're doing a game, Like Friday and Saturday, I use the Dungeons and Dragons category, but for Sunday, I use Fantasy Grounds because it's more appropriate. Like even though we use Fantasy Grounds as a tool, it's more appropriate on game day to use Dungeons and Dragons because people
That's what
want
you're
to
playing.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my channel, maybe people are wanting to know about Fantasy Grounds, but D&D players just want to see D&D. They don't give a shit if you're using Roll20 or Foundry or whatever. They don't care.
Right.
And I remember, back in 2015, when I first found Twitch and first found D&D, and there was nobody. Dave Middleton was the only person streaming D&D, except there was this group of guys, and they put reruns on all the time. And there was this big, like 10-foot table, maybe 6 guys around a table, and they just had a camera at the end of the room. And I would watch that and be fascinated, just because they were, now there's 20,000 people doing that, right?
Critical Role.
Yeah, Critical Role.
Stop.
I got it called. Do you guys know the number to the ambulance? Because
Oh my
all right,
goodness.
can you come get me? All right, I think we might be done, you guys.
I think so.
Like to thank again, Leroon and Gwydion. Thank my co-hosts,
Yes.
and thank you, the audience, for coming and hanging out and watching.
Yes.
And especially those
Until
of you
next year.
Until next year. That's right. Especially those of you who have cheered bits or followed or subbed or resubbed or done whatever you have. I really do
Yes.
appreciate it. So I guess that's it. We'll see you next week, everybody. I just have to go. I started watching Succession and now I'm hooked. I've got to go.
Oh, yeah.
Drake Takes. Thank you for the cheer bits. Good gaming, everyone.